Kang Jihoon didn't feel the knife that sliced through his suit jacket. He watched blood bloom across the expensive fabric with clinical detachment, the way someone might observe a particularly interesting science experiment. His attacker, a Golden Tiger lieutenant who'd gotten too bold, stared in confusion when Jihoon didn't even flinch. "You're bleeding," the man said stupidly. "I know." Jihoon's voice was flat, empty. He pulled his gun and shot the man in the leg with the same emotional investment one might have swatting a fly. "Yunsu, handle this." His second-in-command, Park Yunsu, rushed forward as Jihoon walked away from the bleeding, screaming man like he was leaving a boring business meeting. "Hyung, you need a doctor. It's shallow, just bandage it." Jihoon examined the cut with distant curiosity. He knew intellectually that it should hurt. The knife had cut through skin and muscle, but he felt nothing. No pain, no adrenaline, no fear, just the same hollow emptiness that had consumed him for 3 years. "This is getting worse," Yunsu said quietly as they drove back to headquarters. "You're taking risks you shouldn't, walking into situations without backup, not caring if you live or die." "I don't care." Jihoon stated it as simple fact. "I haven't cared about anything in 3 years. Why start now?" "Because your death would destroy everything we've built. Because the Iron Serpent needs you functional." Yunsu's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Hyung, please, let me find someone who can help. I've seen 12 psychiatrists. Nothing works." "Then try something different. There's a therapist, unconventional methods, works with trauma survivors, has an incredible success rate with PTSD cases. She's visiting from South Africa for 3 months, consulting at Seoul National University Hospital. Another therapist won't. What if she can help? What if there's even a chance you could feel something again?" Yunsu's voice was desperate. "You told me once that living without feeling is just a slower way of dying. So let me try to save you. Please." Jihoon looked out the window at Seoul's lights. Beautiful, meaningless, distant. He'd built an empire from nothing, controlled half the city's security operations, had wealth and power most men could only dream of, and felt absolutely nothing. "Fine," he said. "Set up the appointment. But Yunsu, don't tell her what I really am. I don't want another therapist treating me like a fascinating case study of criminal psychology. I'll tell her you're a CEO with stress-related trauma. Not entirely a lie." Dr. Amara Nkoshi's temporary office at SNU Hospital was nothing like Jihoon expected. Instead of the sterile clinical spaces he'd suffered through with previous psychiatrists, this room was warm. Soft lighting, comfortable furniture, art supplies scattered on tables, and strange textured objects he couldn't identify arranged on shelves. The woman who entered was equally unexpected. She was tall, with rich dark brown skin that seemed to glow in the warm lighting. Her natural hair pulled back in an elegant wrap. She wore a flowing black dress and moved with a grace that commanded attention without demanding it. When she smiled, it reached her dark eyes, genuine warmth that made Jihoon instinctively distrust her. No one was that genuinely warm, not in his world. "Mr. Kang, I'm Dr. Nkosi. Please, sit wherever you're comfortable." Her English was accented, musical, distinctly South African, but clear. "You don't speak Korean?" Jihoon settled into an armchair, noting the exits, the security camera positions, the potential weapons in the room. Old habits. I do, but I find people are more honest in their first language sometimes. We can switch if you prefer. She sat across from him, not behind a desk, another difference from previous therapists. English is fine. My second in command said you specialize in trauma. I specialize in helping people reconnect with themselves after trauma has disconnected them. Amara pulled out a notebook, but didn't immediately write. Tell me, Mr. Kang, do I have permission to be direct with you? Please. Your assistant said you've been experiencing emotional numbness for 3 years following a traumatic event. That you go through the motions of living but don't actually feel alive. Is that accurate? Jihoon blinked. Most therapists spent the first session on gentle warm-ups, carefully dancing around the real issues. Yes, exactly that. And the trauma, can you tell me what happened? My wife and unborn child were killed. Car bomb, meant for me. The words came out mechanical, rehearsed from telling the story to too many therapists. I survived. They didn't. Since then, I don't feel things properly. Pain, pleasure, emotion, it's all distant, like I'm watching myself from outside my body. Dissociation, Amara said softly. Your mind protecting you from overwhelming pain by shutting down sensation entirely. It's called psychogenic sensory loss, rare but not unheard of in severe trauma cases. Can you fix it? I don't fix people, Mr. Kang, but I can help you find your way back to yourself. She stood and moved to one of the shelves, selecting a small object. I use sensory integration therapy. Traditional talk therapy often doesn't work for people experiencing what you're experiencing because you can't think your way back to feeling. You have to feel your way back. She returned and held out her hand. May I? Jihoon hesitated, then placed his hand in hers. The moment her skin touched his, something impossible happened. He felt it, not distant or muted or filtered through dissociative fog. He felt the warmth of her palm, the softness of her skin, the gentle pressure of her fingers, actual, real physical sensation for the first time in 3 years. Jihoon gasped, jerking his hand back like he'd been burned. What? How? Amara's eyes widened slightly. You felt that? I felt that. His voice was rough with shock. How? How did you? What did you do? I just touched your hand, Mr. Kang. Nothing more. But she looked intrigued now, curious. Tell me exactly what you felt. Everything. Your skin, the warmth, the pressure. I felt it all. Jihoon stared at his hand like it belonged to someone else. That's not possible. I don't feel things. I haven't felt anything in 3 years. What did you do to me? I didn't do anything. You felt it because some part of you wants to feel again. Amara leaned forward slightly. Mr. Kang, I think we might be able to help you. But it's going to require regular sessions, trust, and your commitment to the process. Can you give me that? Jihoon looked at her, this stranger who'd somehow broken through 3 years of numbness with a single touch, and felt something else equally impossible. Hope. Yes, he said. Whatever it takes. Have you ever felt so numb that one person's touch changed everything? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you're already hooked on this story about a broken mafia boss and the therapist who makes him feel again, hit subscribe and tell me what you think will happen next. This is about to get intense. Now let's continue. The session ended with Amara scheduling twice-weekly appointments and Jihoon leaving her office in a state of shocked disbelief. In the car, he kept flexing his hand, trying to recreate that sensation. How did it go? Yunsu asked cautiously. She touched my hand. Jihoon's voice was strange, wondering, and I felt it, actually felt it. For 3 years, nothing. Then she touches me once, and... He stopped, struggling for words. What is she? A therapist, a good one, apparently. Yunsu smiled. Does this mean you'll continue? Twice a week. And Yunsu? I want everything on her. Background, education, family, everything. I need to understand how she did that. The file arrived by morning. Dr. Amara Nkosi, 26, Cape Town, South Africa. PhD in clinical psychology from University of Cape Town. Specialization in trauma and PTSD. Published researcher in sensory integration therapy and psychogenic disorders. Currently on exchange program at Seoul National University Hospital. Parents deceased, killed in home invasion when she was 19. Younger brother, 22, studying medicine in Johannesburg. No criminal connections, no debt. Reputation, brilliant, compassionate, unconventional methods. Known for taking cases other therapists deem hopeless. Jihoon studied her photo, professional, smiling, those warm eyes that had looked at him with curiosity rather than fear. She'd experienced trauma herself, lost her parents violently, like he'd lost his wife. Maybe that's why she understood, why her touch had reached him when nothing else could. She's clean, Yunsu confirmed. Exactly what she appears to be, a therapist trying to help people. People like me, people like you, Yunsu agreed. Hyung, this could be good, real healing, not just going through motions. But Jihoon barely heard him. He was already planning his next session, already desperate to feel that sensation again, proof he wasn't completely dead inside. Amara spent her evening reviewing what had happened with her supervisor. He felt it? Dr. Kim, head of the trauma unit, looked skeptical. Complete sensory breakthrough from a single touch after 3 years of dissociation. I know how it sounds. But his reaction was genuine. Shock, confusion, almost fear. Amara pulled up her notes. He's experiencing severe psychogenic sensory loss, likely from survivor's guilt and unprocessed trauma. But there's something else. The way he described his daily life, taking physical risks without concern, making decisions without fear. It's like he's testing whether he's alive. That's dangerous. Very. If we can't help him reconnect with feeling, he's going to get himself killed through sheer recklessness. Amara tapped her pen thoughtfully. I want to try progressive sensory exposure. Start with touch, then other senses, sound, taste, visual processing. Build neural pathways back to emotional engagement. That's experimental. So is a patient who feels nothing for 3 years, suddenly feeling from one touch. We're in uncharted territory. Amara's expression was determined. I've worked with trauma survivors my entire career. This man is drowning in dissociation, and somehow I reached him. I'm not giving up on that. What she didn't know was that Kang Jihoon was so much more than a traumatized CEO, and that reaching him might pull her into depths she wasn't prepared for. The second session, Jihoon arrived early. Amara found him in the waiting area, impeccably dressed as before, expensive black suit, perfect hair, posture that screamed controlled power. But his eyes tracked her with an intensity that made her pause. Mr. Kang, come in. Once inside, he sat, but couldn't seem to stay still, unusual for someone who'd been so controlled last session. I need to understand what happened, how you did that. I told you. I simply touched your hand. There was no trick, no special technique. Amara settled into her chair. But I've been researching your condition. Psychogenic sensory loss is rare, but breakthrough moments like yours aren't unheard of. Sometimes the brain needs the right stimulus to remember how to process sensation again. So I just needed the right touch. His voice carried something she couldn't identify, hope mixed with desperation. Or the right person, at the right time, in the right context. Trauma recovery isn't linear, Mr. Kang. Your breakthrough might have happened because you were finally ready, and I happened to be there. Try again. He held out his hand. Please, I need to know if it was real or if I imagined it. Amara hesitated. This was moving fast, too fast for a proper therapeutic protocol. But she recognized that desperation. She'd seen it in trauma survivors who'd been drowning for so long they'd forgotten what breathing felt like. She took his hand. Again, that sharp intake of breath. His fingers tightened around hers, and she felt him trembling slightly. I feel it, he whispered. Your skin, the warmth, your pulse. I feel everything. Good. That's very good. Amara kept her voice calm, professional, even as she noticed how her own heart rate had increased. There was something intense about this connection, more than just therapeutic breakthrough. Now, I want you to close your eyes and focus on the sensation. Don't analyze it. Just experience it. Jihoon obeyed, his breathing deepening as he concentrated. What else do you notice? She asked softly. Your perfume. Something floral. I haven't noticed scents in years. His eyes opened, dark and overwhelmed. The light through the window feels warm on my skin. The chair fabric has texture I can actually feel. It's all coming back. Your brain is remembering how to process sensory input. It's remarkable progress. But Jihoon, she used his first name without thinking. This might be temporary. These breakthrough moments can fade if we don't reinforce them properly. We need to work consistently, build sustainable pathways back to sensation and emotion. Then let's start now. Whatever exercises, whatever process, I'll do anything. They spent the next hour on sensory integration work. Amara had him touch different textures: silk, sandpaper, ice, warm water, guiding him through experiencing and naming each sensation. His responses were like watching someone be reborn, discovering the physical world for the first time. How do you feel? She asked at the end. Alive. The word came out raw, honest. For the first time in 3 years, I feel alive. Because of you. Because of the work you're doing, Amara corrected gently. I'm just the guide. You're more than that. His intensity returned. You're the only person who's made me feel anything. The only reason I'm not completely dead inside. Do you understand what that means to me? Red flags waved in Amara's professional mind. This was transference, a patient projecting feelings onto their therapist, fixating on them as the source of healing rather than recognizing their own progress. It was common in trauma therapy, but it needed to be addressed. Mr. Kang Jihoon, I understand this feels miraculous, but I need you to understand something important. I'm your therapist. What you're feeling, the gratitude, the connection, that's part of the healing process. But we need to maintain appropriate boundaries, or I can't help you effectively. His expression closed off slightly. Of course, professional boundaries, I understand. I'm not rejecting you, she said more gently. I'm protecting the therapeutic relationship so we can do real, lasting work. This breakthrough is just the beginning. There's still so much healing ahead. Then let's get to work. But something in his voice had changed, a determination that felt almost dangerous. What Amara didn't know was that after he left her office, Jihoon sat in his car for 20 minutes, just feeling the steering wheel, the seat, the air conditioning, sensations he'd forgotten existed, and thinking about her. Dr. Amara Nkosi, who'd given him back something he'd thought was lost forever. How did it go? Yoon-soo appeared at the driver's window. She's incredible. The breakthrough isn't just my imagination. It's real. She's helping me feel again. Jihoon started the engine. And I need more sessions. Daily, if she'll agree. Hyung, be careful. Don't what? Don't feel grateful to the woman who's bringing me back to life. Don't acknowledge that she's the only good thing in my world right now. Jihoon's voice rose slightly, actual emotion bleeding through. For 3 years, I've been a ghost. Now I'm starting to feel human again, because of her. That's called transference. It's a known issue in therapy. I don't care what it's called. All I know is that when she touches me, I feel alive, and I'm not giving that up. Over the next 3 weeks, Jihoon's life transformed. The sensory breakthroughs continued, taste returned, then the full spectrum of physical sensation. Then slowly, carefully, emotional responses began filtering back. Anger, joy, frustration, fear, and desire. That was the complication Amara hadn't anticipated. "You're making remarkable progress," she told him during their 6th session. "Your brain is rebuilding neural pathways faster than any case I've studied. Because of you." Jihoon watched her with that intense focus that had become his default around her. Every breakthrough happens when you're here. That's the therapeutic environment providing safety and structure. That's you, Amara. Stop trying to make it clinical. He leaned forward. "I know what this is. I'm not stupid. But I also know what I feel. And pretending it's just transference doesn't change reality." "And what reality is that?" "That I'm falling for my therapist. That you've become the center of my world. That the thought of these sessions ending terrifies me more than dying did." His voice was raw, honest. "You wanted me to feel again. Congratulations. I feel everything now, including this." Amara took a careful breath. This was the moment she'd been dreading, when clinical boundaries collided with human connection. "Jihoon, I'm honored that you trust me with these feelings, but acting on them would be unethical and potentially harmful to your recovery. You're vulnerable right now, rebuilding yourself. What you feel for me is part of that process. Not real?" His jaw tightened. "Don't tell me what I feel isn't real. For 3 years, I felt nothing. Now I feel everything, and the strongest feeling is for you. That's not transference. That's truth. Even if it is true, we can't." The office door crashed open. 2 men in dark suits entered, guns visible, and suddenly Jihoon was on his feet, positioned between them and Amara, his entire demeanor shifting from vulnerable patient to dangerous predator. "Get out," he said coldly. "Boss, we have a situation. The Golden Tigers hit one of our warehouses. Casualties. You need to come now." The man's eyes flicked to Amara. "Alone." Amara's blood ran cold. "Boss? Warehouse? Casualties? Give me 5 minutes," Jihoon ordered. the men left. Slowly, he turned back to Amara, and she saw the truth in his eyes. Guilt, resignation, the knowledge that his carefully constructed cover was shattered. "You're not a CEO," she said quietly. "No. You're a criminal. Yes. No denials, no excuses. I run the Iron Serpent Syndicate. Everything Yunsu told you was a lie. Well, except the trauma. That part was true." Amara stood, backing toward her desk. "You've been lying to me for 3 weeks. I've been honest about everything that matters. The dissociation, the numbness, the breakthrough. All real, Amara. The only lie was what I do for a living." "That's not a small lie, Jihoon. You're a—" She struggled for the word. "A gangster? A mafia boss? And you let me treat you. Let me care about your progress, knowing I'd be horrified if I knew the truth. I needed help. You were the first person who could reach me. Was I supposed to let that go because my profession might offend you?" His voice hardened. "I'm not a good man, Amara. I never claimed to be. But everything between us, the breakthrough, the connection, that was real. That is real. I can't treat you. This crosses every ethical line. Then don't treat me as a patient, but don't walk away from what we've built." He moved closer, and despite her fear and anger, Amara didn't back away. "You gave me my life back. You made me feel again. And yes, part of what I feel is love for you. So I'm asking, begging, don't let my profession destroy the only good thing in my world. People are dying in your warehouse right now. You run a criminal organization. How am I supposed to—" I know what I am, what I do. But I also know that you're the only person who's ever looked at me and seen someone worth saving. If you walk away now, I go back to being dead inside. Is that what you want?" Amara's hands shook. Every instinct screamed to run, to report this, to distance herself from whatever dangerous world she'd stumbled into. But she also saw the desperation in his eyes, the man she'd spent 3 weeks helping rebuild, threatening to crumble again. "I need time," she said finally, "to think, to process this. Take all the time you need. But Amara, whatever you decide, know this. You changed my life. You gave me back something I thought was gone forever, and I will never stop being grateful for that." He left, and Amara collapsed into her chair, her mind racing. She'd fallen for her patient, who was a mafia boss, who was the first person in years to make her feel something beyond professional obligation. What had she gotten herself into? Amara didn't sleep that night. She researched the Iron Serpent Syndicate until 3 a.m., finding fragments of information buried in news articles and police reports. They controlled Seoul's private security operations, both legitimate and otherwise. Protection rackets, information brokerage, surveillance. Not the worst criminal organization, no drugs, no human trafficking, but still dangerous, still illegal. And Kang Jihoon ran it all. Her phone buzzed at dawn. A text from an unknown number. "I'm outside your apartment. Can we talk? Just talk, please. KJ." She should have refused, should have blocked the number and never looked back. Instead, she got dressed and went downstairs. Jihoon stood beside a black car, looking exhausted, still in yesterday's clothes, hair disheveled, dried blood on his knuckles. When he saw her, relief flooded his face. "You came. You're bleeding." Professional instinct kicked in. "What happened?" "The warehouse situation. It's handled." He looked at his hands like they belonged to someone else. "I felt it, Amara. When I punched that man, I felt every impact, the pain in my knuckles, the force of contact. For 3 years, I've fought without feeling it. Last night, I felt everything. So you wanted to thank me? Her voice was sharper than intended. Tell me how your violence is my accomplishment. No, I wanted to tell you that feeling pain made me stop. Before, I'd fight until someone was dead because I couldn't feel consequences. Last night, my knuckles hurt, so I stopped before it went too far. You didn't just give me back sensation, Amara. You gave me back limits. Humanity. The ability to know when to stop. She studied him, this dangerous man who looked at her like she was salvation itself. Why me? Out of all the therapists you've seen, why did I reach you? I don't know. Maybe because you've experienced loss too. Your parents, I know what happened. Maybe you understand trauma in a way others don't. He stepped closer. Or maybe it's something else. Something neither of us can explain. Jihoon, I can't be involved with a criminal, then help me become something else. The words burst out desperately. I built the Iron Serpent from nothing because I needed power to feel safe. But now I just want to feel human again. With you. Help me transition the organization to legitimate operations. Help me become someone you could actually want. That's not how this works. I'm your therapist. You were my therapist. That relationship is over the moment you walk down here. Now we're just two people trying to figure out if this connection is real. He held out his hand. Touch me. Tell me you don't feel what I feel. Every ethical bone in Amara's body screamed to refuse. But she took his hand. The sensation was electric, not just physical, but emotional. Something that transcended therapeutic breakthrough and entered dangerous territory. She felt her pulse quicken, saw his eyes darken, recognized the mutual pull that had been building for weeks. I feel it, she admitted. But feeling something doesn't mean we should act on it. Why not? We're both adults, both broken in different ways, both trying to survive in a complicated world. His voice dropped. I'm not asking you to love a criminal, Amara. I'm asking you to see the man I'm trying to become, the man you're helping me become. And if I can't separate those things, if every time I look at you, I think about the violence, the crime, then I'll change faster. Go completely legitimate. Whatever it takes. His intensity was overwhelming. You've already changed my life in 3 weeks. Give me 3 months, and I'll show you I can be someone worthy of you. It was madness, professional suicide, ethical catastrophe. It was also the most honest thing anyone had ever offered her. 3 months, she heard herself say. You transition the Iron Serpent to legitimate operations. You prove you're serious about change. And she gestured between them, we stay in undefined territory. Not therapist-patient, not quite dating, just figuring this out. Deal. His smile was brilliant, transforming his severe features. Thank you for not running, for giving me a chance I don't deserve. I might still run, she warned. Then I'll chase you, for however long it takes. The transition wasn't smooth. Over the next 2 months, Jihoon worked to move Iron Serpent's operations legitimate, selling off illegal divisions, restructuring as a private security firm, cutting ties with criminal elements. It was complicated, dangerous, and met with resistance from rivals who saw weakness. Amara watched it all from an increasingly less professional distance. They had dinner twice a week. He showed up at her office with coffee. She helped him process trauma he'd buried for years. The lines between therapy and relationship blurred until they were indistinguishable. And then everything fell apart. Dr. Nkosi, her supervisor's voice was ice. We need to discuss your relationship with Kang Jihoon. Amara's stomach dropped. What about it? The hospital board received an anonymous tip that you're romantically involved with a former patient who is also a known criminal. Dr. Kim's expression was disappointed. Please tell me it's not true. It's complicated. It's a massive ethical violation. You could lose your license, Amara. Everything you've worked for. Dr. Kim leaned forward. I need to know. Are you involved with Kang Jihoon? The lie would be easy, but Amara had built her career on honesty. Yes, but he's no longer my patient, and he's actively transitioning to legitimate business. That doesn't matter. The relationship started while he was your patient. That's misconduct, Dr. Nkosi. I have no choice but to report this to the ethics board. 3 days later, Amara received the notice. Formal investigation pending. License suspended until resolution. Her career, everything she'd worked for since her parents' death, was collapsing because she'd fallen for the wrong man. Jihoon found her at her apartment that evening, destroyed. This is my fault, he said immediately. I'll testify that I pursued you, that you maintained boundaries, that it doesn't matter. I crossed lines I knew were there. I chose this. Amara's voice was hollow. My license is suspended. My reputation is ruined. Everything I've built is gone. Then rebuild. Here, with me. I'll hire you as consultant for Iron Serpent's transition. Legitimate work, legitimate pay. I don't want your guilt money, Jihoon. It's not guilt. It's... He ran his hands through his hair in frustration. I'm trying to fix this. Tell me how to fix this. You can't. Some things can't be fixed. She looked at him with exhausted eyes. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe this was doomed from the start. A therapist and a criminal. What did we think would happen? We thought we'd found something real. Something worth fighting for. But is it? Or did I just project my own need to save someone onto you? Did you just transfer your need for feeling onto me? Maybe none of this is real. Maybe it's all just trauma bonding and ethical violation. Don't do that. Jihoon's voice was fierce. Don't diminish what we have because it got complicated. I love you, Amara. Not as a patient loves a therapist. Not as transference. I love you, your strength, your compassion, your stubborn belief that people can change. That's real. But at what cost? Tears finally fell. I've lost everything for you. My career, my license, possibly my ability to ever practice again. And for what? A relationship that started wrong and might never be right? Then let me make it right. Marry me. Amara froze. What? Marry me. Not now. Not today. But commit to making this work despite everything. Let me prove that you didn't lose everything for nothing. Let me spend my life being worthy of what you sacrificed. He dropped to his knees. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But I also know that you're the only person who's ever made me want to be better. So marry me, Amara Nkosi. Let me spend forever proving I was worth the risk. She stared at him, this broken, dangerous, desperately honest man, and realized something terrifying. She wanted to say yes. I need time, Amara said finally. To think, to figure out if I'm making a choice or just refusing to admit defeat. Take all the time you need. Jihoon stood slowly. But know that I'm not going anywhere. Whatever you decide, I'll be here. After he left, Amara called her brother in Johannesburg. You sound terrible, Thabo said immediately. What happened? She told him everything. The patient who became more, the ethical violations, the suspended license, the proposal. So let me understand, Thabo said slowly. You fell for a Korean mafia boss who you were treating for trauma, lost your license over it, and now he's proposed? Amara, this is insane. I know, but you love him. She stopped. Yes, I think I do. Then what's the question? Her brother's voice softened. You've spent your whole career helping broken people heal. Maybe this time you get to heal together. With someone who sees you, challenges you, makes you feel alive. Isn't that worth more than a license? My career was everything. Your career was what you built after mom and dad died, because you needed purpose. But maybe your purpose is changing. Maybe it's okay to choose love over professional perfection, even if it means starting over, especially if it means starting over with someone worth the restart. The ethics board hearing was brutal. Amara stood before 5 judges, her career dissected and displayed like a specimen. They reviewed her sessions with Jihoon, documented the relationship timeline, highlighted every boundary crossed. Dr. Nkosi, the board chair said sternly, you violated fundamental ethical principles. Do you have anything to say in your defense? No. Amara's voice was steady. I crossed lines I knew were there. I developed feelings for a patient and acted on them. I'm not going to make excuses or justify it. I'm only going to say that I'd do it again. Because sometimes healing isn't neat. Sometimes it's messy and complicated and involves falling for someone you shouldn't. But that doesn't make the healing less real. Are you saying the ends justify the means? I'm saying that Kang Jihoon came to me unable to feel anything, dissociated, reckless, half dead. Now he feels everything. He's alive. He's changing his life, going legitimate, becoming someone better. If my career is the price for that transformation, I'll pay it. Because that's what healers do. We sacrifice for the people who need us. The room was silent. Your license remains suspended, the chair said finally. However, given the unusual circumstances and your previously exemplary record, we're not pursuing permanent revocation. You may reapply for licensing after a 2-year probationary period. Case closed. Outside, Jihoon was waiting. 2 years, Amara told him. I can reapply in 2 years. That's better than I hoped. He pulled her close. Thank you for not giving up. I haven't answered your proposal yet. I know, I'm still waiting. Amara pulled back to look at him. Ask me again, right now, and I'll give you an answer. Jihoon's eyes widened. Then slowly, carefully, he dropped to one knee, right there on the courthouse steps. Dr. Amara Nkosi, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of you? Will you build something new with me? Messy, complicated, but ours. Yes. The word came out clear. Certain. Yes, I'll marry you. His kiss tasted like relief and hope and new beginnings. 2 years later, Amara stood in front of the ethics board again. Dr. Nkosi, the chair said, you've completed your probationary period. Your application for license reinstatement has been reviewed. I'm pleased to inform you that your license is fully restored. Outside, her husband waited. Jihoon, now CEO of Iron Serpent Security Solutions, a completely legitimate private security firm. They'd spent 2 years building it together, using her psychology expertise and his strategic mind to create something good from dark origins. Congratulations, Dr. Kang, he said, kissing her. I'm keeping Nkosi professionally, she laughed. But thank you. What's your first move? Open a practice, specialize in trauma therapy, help people like you, ones everyone else has given up on. She squeezed his hand. What you taught me is that healing isn't always neat. Sometimes it's complicated and messy and involves breaking rules. But that doesn't make it less valid. I love you, Jihoon said, for seeing someone worth saving when everyone else saw a lost cause. I love you too, for making me feel alive again after I'd forgotten what that was like. They'd both been broken, him by trauma, her by loss. Together, they'd healed in ways neither expected. It wasn't the conventional love story, but it was theirs, and that made it perfect. The end. Thank you for following Jihoon and Amara's journey from numbness to feeling, from patient to partner, from broken to whole. If you loved their story, subscribe for more. See you in the next one. What would you sacrifice for love that heals you? Comment below